Hi, I'm Kathy. Welcome back to my channel. I uploaded a video on how to edit aesthetic vlogs or reels or something like that last year, and a lot of people loved that. So here I am with a part 2 a year later. Back then I was also using InShot to edit my reels and vlogs and everything at that point. Since I had an annual subscription, it expired I think around April or May, and I was looking for apps I can use apart from InShot to see if there was any variety, any other app that is more efficient. And that is how I came across Velo. I pronounce it Velo. It's actually VLLO. I started editing in general like some 7-8 years ago. That is how I had these two apps, InShot and Velo. Back then Velo did not have the digital drawing feature, which is why I chose InShot over it. And I was going through Velo's interface. I realized that Velo also has a draw feature. So this entire tutorial is filmed in this app called Velo. It's not sponsored. No one's paying me to do this, but this is just my entire editing process from start to finish. Just want to give a disclaimer that this is how I edit. This is my process. I don't do any heavy editing. I like my videos to be a little more cute, added with a lot of stickers, widgets, frames, all of that. So that is how I have edited this video as well. If this is not your editing style, I totally get it. Let me know in the comments if there is any other question that you have or any other tutorial recommendation that you have, and I would love to make it happen for y'all. Okay, so let's start by importing a couple of clips for the video. Now these are clips from when I went to Japan, and these are horizontal, but all the settings remain the same even for vertical videos. Once I've imported all the videos, the first step is always to just cut the footage into bits that you want to work with, and Velo has a very smooth interface, so you need not spend a lot of time cutting and clipping. Next thing is to make you familiar with the interface, because someone in my previous video mentioned that they found Velo a little difficult to navigate. So first things first, when you click on a clip, it will show you multiple options like transform, layout, mask, background, borders, etc, and these are only available when you select a particular clip. Now apart from this, there is one taskbar of 5 main features at the very bottom, which contains audio, graphic, text, picture-in-picture, and effect. And when you click on each of these, on the left hand side you will see what all sub features are available for that particular feature. Now on to how you can move through the clips. There are 2 keys on the right and 2 keys on the left. When you tap the key next to the timestamp on the right, individually it will take you to the next frame, and if you press and hold it, it will take you multiple frames ahead very quickly. The 2 very extreme right and left keys take you to the end of the video and the very beginning if you press and hold it. Now once I'm done cutting all the clips, I like to color grade my clips a little bit for them to look as vibrant as they were in real life, which the camera never captures. Earlier I used to use the inbuilt Photos app on the iPad or my phone itself, but recently I've shifted to DaVinci Resolve, but that's a little complicated for this video. So to simplify things, we also have a number of filters that you can use for your clips in Velo itself, which look pretty good, and the best part is you can increase the intensity of the filter as per your liking. That's why I'm showing you here how different filters look on clips with different intensities. And if you don't want to use any of these pre-made filters, you can always just go to adjustment and have your own settings. So here's what I would do in terms of adjustments if I was coloring in Velo to make my clips look more vibrant and aesthetically pleasing. A lot of people keep asking me on my Instagram how I color correct, so this is a very short version of what I usually do. I don't like my clips to look too dark. I like them to be a little light, more bright, less saturated, less contrast, and this is how you can make your own filter as well and save it for future clips. But it actually never works according to me, because every video is shot in a different lighting, in a different angle, so what worked as a good filter for one clip might just not work for the other. The best part about this app is that you can copy paste the same settings that you used for adjustments on another clip as well, and this is not just for adjustment, this is for a lot of things in Velo. So you can use the multi-apply feature to copy the same settings on multiple clips, and here is the before after for this clip. And since the lighting of most of the clips in this entire timeline is almost the same, I'm just going to multi-apply to a few clips as well and see how it looks. So this is how the before after looks for this one clip as well. Now this clip is a little different. It looks very weird with the same settings applied, so you can always just tweak whenever and wherever required. Time for my most favorite tab in this entire app, which is the graphic tab, because it has so much potential. It has so many stickers which are animated and static as well, so many frames that I use for all my videos, and my favorite stickers are the ones that look like widgets from phones or computers, and it gives a very digital aesthetic look to your video, which I love. And most of these are in motion, so it looks like you're actually editing it individually, whereas it's literally just a sticker that's doing everything for you. Next up in the graphic tab, we have this feature called frames, where they have so many different types of frames for your clips. I like to use the vlog or film or PC and phone frames personally, because again it adds to the vibe that I'm going for the video. Another reason why frames change the look of your clip is because a new element makes the viewing more engaging rather than just watching the clips. And this is totally a personal opinion, but I like to have a little shift in perspective, so I love using frames. And this is how it looks finally with the two frames. A signature Khyati video will always have digital handwriting on it, and I love that this app allows you to write digitally. And the best part about this is that it offers the Apple interface markers, so the sensitivity and the touch of the marker is really good as compared to InShot, where there was only one option for me. I love writing on my videos. I think it gives a very personal touch, and I don't think I'll ever stop doing that. If you watch my videos, at least 50% of my vlogs and clips have things written on it digitally, and that is how most of my editing is. So yeah, the draw feature is mandatory for any app that I use to edit. This is also one of the major reasons why I chose to go with Milo. And the last feature on the graphics tab is particles. This is one feature that I don't use a lot because I think it feels a little gimmicky. It has a lot of these random particle elements that just float around the screen, which obviously does not look good most of the times, but this is just to show you all what it's all about. Coming to the fonts and texts, there's so many text styles and font designs in this app. You can browse through every single design that they have and literally choose a new one for every single video. They have a lot of static and motion templates for fonts and font designs and labels and all of that, so you can definitely go check it out. What I like to do is go to the most basic font over here, select it, and then write in my text, and then eventually change the font of that with the normal font styles that they have available. The font library in this app is really huge, so take your time going through it. It has a lot of fonts, really good ones. You can also import your own fonts if you have made one by yourself or if you have downloaded from the internet. What I usually like to do is also animate my font so it looks like it's being typed in when the video plays. I usually like to use the unfold right animation. Another very interesting thing in this app is, and I think this is a paid feature, but nevertheless I'm still going to mention it, you can change the color of individual letters or individual words in an entire sentence separately. Like my one word can be white and the other can be yellow, or my one letter can be white, the second can be yellow, whatever. One thing you'll see a lot in my videos are these digital aesthetic labels and stickers and all of that, and I love that I can use the same for texts as well. Of course, I love to animate it so it looks like it's an actual message popping up from somewhere. And this is how I go on editing my clips. I'm just going to take my time choosing frames and stickers and hand drawing on it a little digitally, and that is how I literally edit at least 70% of all my clips. Now I know I've covered this in the previous video, but here's a little something on keyframes. It just basically takes your video from point A to point B. So you start your keyframe, you add your keyframe at the very beginning of the video, and then go towards the end, zoom in your video, and then add another keyframe towards the end. So it's like your video is going from point A to point B as the clip plays on. So that is how it creates a cinematic zoom. I particularly love to use keyframes for my talking videos or videos which have like a good scenery or background. Coming to picture in picture, this is actually such a great tool to make sure that the viewer is not getting bored by adding different elements like videos or pictures inside an already playing clip. For this app, I think you can add an image as a picture in picture for free, but for a video it requires a paid subscription. Nevertheless, this is how I add a picture in picture. Now it looks very harsh with the strong border, so I'm just going to round it a little bit and make the edges a little softer by increasing the feather intensity. I usually do it to almost all of my picture in pictures. You can also play with the outline and the shadows of the picture in picture as well, and this is how it looks when the clip is finally played. I think it looks pretty good. Now I'm just quickly going to add frames and other things to the last two clips and then go on to the audio part of it. I used to not take audio that seriously when editing my videos, but over time I have learned how different it can make your video look, especially the background music. Vezo has an entire library of copyright free sound effects, so you can use any of them and you won't get a copyright claim on your YouTube videos. What I like to do is, at least in the beginning, for every element that pops up on the screen, I like to add a sound effect for that. So if, for example, now this is a message element that is coming up, so I'm going to add sound effects according to when the message pops up, and this is how it sounds when all the effects are added. For videos that look like it's broad daylight and it's a good day, bright day where there are trees and natural surrounding, you can add background music from live sounds or sounds of the birds or the road and honks and whatnot. So it looks like it's actually a part of the video when in reality it's been added as a background music, like a sound effect. Similarly, I'm going to add sound effects for all my elements related to the clips if I can. I love to add like bite and crunch sounds and bird sounds, because most of the times these tiny sounds do not get captured on camera unless captured very consciously, so these are really good options. As for long form music, I use Epidemic Sound. Do not use any of the music from the Vezo library because this is not copyright free. They have a copyright claim if you use it for your YouTube videos. You can use it for personal like Instagram reels and all, but for YouTube videos it's not optimal. So I use sound from Epidemic Sound, and it has a very big variety. They charge some 3,500 for an entire year, which makes sense for people who do earn from YouTube or have monetized their videos. But if this is not feasible, you can definitely go to Pixabay. They have a lot of copyright free music and you can use that for YouTube. And this is how the final video looks with everything. And that's it for this tutorial. I'm sharing my export settings as well in case you're wondering how the videos come out looking crisp and clean. You can take a screenshot of this and save it for future. If there is any other question that you have, I would love to answer it. Please leave it in the comments below and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye!